known to us in the legal community that is a dual process, two in one.
That first reference you made,
yes,
in the quote that you read,
yes,
I note that, and I'm just trying to be fair here, I note that he says that the procedures that they are going through.
All right, so a big thank you to Kojo Youngson of Joy News. He granted lawyer Martin Kpe with this very interview, and we give credit to Joy News for this. But let me come to you, Mr. Musa Dankwa. I know you are not a lawyer, but you followed politics and the governance and democracy in our country for quite some time. You have witnessed the removal of the former Chief Justice Torkornoo. He's back at the High Court to question why he's been relieved of his position as a Supreme Court judge, not a CJ. What do you make of this?
Unfortunately, I have to disappoint you on this one. I have pledged not to comment on the CJ's removal, following her citing my work in her defense at the various courts to argue that I've been a government-aligned pollster. So I'm trying completely to stay out of that argument, and I wouldn't veer myself into it. That's
fair, but I can tell the CJ that's a flawed argument. Let me come to you, Mr. Ibad Ibrahim. Mr. Ibad Ibrahim, what's your take on this?
No doubt, Musa Dankwa is a very experienced person. We walked into a minefield about a decade ago when we started, security and international relations analysis. I was working at the Palestine Embassy at that time. I had privileged information on the Gitmo tool, but I was too young and naive at that time. And I was speaking with the same person, and lawyer Martin Kpe was played back on right now, Kojo Youngson. I was on the Super Morning Show about 10 years ago. And then I was talking about the need for us to take preemptive measures to protect ourselves, and the fact that we should unite, and bringing in the Gitmo tool didn't have any security implication. Then I slipped and then let out the fact that the Americans, and of course at that time I was connected with the Americans at the American embassy, and the Americans had duly informed an opposition leader at that time. So people were feigning ignorance for political points. So as young as I was at that time, my age was brought to question, my credentials. So I really appreciate the maturity my senior brother Musa Dankwa is showing. Politicians, no matter how good your work is, any comment you make that makes them look bad at the polls, you will bear the consequences. And I was on a program on the day of the by-election, and people were, getting at Brother Musa Dankwa. I said, no. Please, he's doing a great job for the Republic of Ghana. You may disagree, but you can't bring to question the quality of work. Musa is now going beyond Ghana. Actually, you can be a pollster for any part of the world. So I can only wish my senior brother well. There are things you really, genuinely have a very nationalistic position on. But if you share that opinion, there are wild, party boys that will be unleashed on you. Even your wife will be wondering whether you are actually a husband, because the way they would run you down. So Musa can continue to walk the tightrope so that all these people who don't mean too well for Ghana don't put, any blockade on his work that he's doing for the Republic of Ghana. On the Chief Justice,
right?
I have taken my ambassador to a Chief Justice before. There's a nexus between security and the justice delivery system. But unfortunately, in this part of the world, there seems to be judicial selectivity based upon which docket is being dealt with. And I believe our mother, the Chief Justice, is only a victim of circumstance. I believe that too much power is vested in the executive arm of government. When the stroke of pen from the president can decide the fate of a Chief Justice, then it brings to question the checks and balances these three arms of government are supposed to serve. So I'm neutral on this issue. A slew of accusations or allegations were made against her mother, and she escalated the issue to the ECOWAS, humanitarian court to seek redress. But I was wondering, even if she won internationally, who would approve her budget to operate here in the Republic of Ghana? It would be the same appointing authority that is seeking an exit. It is just like Dampare, the IGP. I saw people demonstrating why the president had asked him to go on retirement. So even if you reinstate him, and my lecturer, Professor Kwesienin, and others went to court, and I believe it was a good academic exercise. But beyond that, there would be love lost between the appointing authority and the one who is foisted on them with the law. Because if the law says you can't summarily take away an IGP or a Chief Justice, yes, of course, the person can be reinstated by the courts. But eventually, the budget is going to operate, is going to be approved by the same appointing authority. So I
But
believe
you have no power to say you won't approve that budget because the Constitution grants you the nod to approve those budgets. You can't say no.
We have many ways of circumventing, constitutional, roles or responsibilities.
Okay.
Please don't forget an anti-LGBT, act went to the table of the president, and the president decided not to sign. Actually, when in fact by law the president is supposed to sign.
He cited that there was a case in court, so until that case is relinquished, he can't sign it. That was his explanation.
Well, the point is that politicians always, you can have your say, but they will have their way at the end of the day. And so I felt that her mother could have, in dignity, walked away from the job. And there are many ways you can serve the Republic of Ghana. She could have taken up other roles, a Council of State member and others. But for her to fight back, that opened her up for more, accusations and all that. But I think
and Mr. Iba, you don't think it is also good for education or judicial education, the way she is frontally fighting this?
She cited that in one of her press conferences that a president doesn't need to be set this way. So just as we've had in the past few years, every party coming with its own electoral commissioner. We don't want a situation whereby every political party that wins comes with its own chief justice. So I think it was a good, legal exercise from her, but the collateral damage on her person, on her family, and all that was quite damning and devastating, unfortunately, Kofi Asante.
Mr. M. Liquid, let me come to you. Considering the fact that the first time this was done was somewhere in Nkrumah's time, in 1963, and the Fourth Republic, 2025, we have the nerves, John Dramani Mahama, to sack the Chief Justice from office. Now she's up in arms. She says, I can't be, for want of a better expression, the headmaster. You sack the headmaster. If I still want to teach in the school, you say no. Why can't I be a Supreme Court judge, if not the leader of all justices as Chief Justice?
Yeah. First of all, just to also comment on the fact that Mr. Dankwa's work has been meddled with this partisan politics and Ghana politics of search and eat and bite and everything that comes with it. It's rather unfortunate that our institutions then tend to be kind of, I don't want to use the word witch hunt, but prevented from functioning. Because these are the systems that help, or individuals that help us to actually become a formidable country, governance, and everything that comes with it. So it's rather unfortunate that it's gone that way. But to come to the Chief Justice's case, as you said earlier, I'm no lawyer, but the question is, being a Chief Justice and the Justice of the Court, what is the process? What's the procedure? Does one act means the other is affected? These are just common sense questions we have to ask. Someone said one of the ways to survive in Ghana is for you to become a lawyer so you can play the system. That's what somebody said to me. So everybody wants to become a lawyer. So are they playing the system? What is the provision? Is it possible that she could be removed as a Chief Justice and still function as a Justice of the Court? Those are the questions. So, but unfortunately, in our country, even the police functioning, someone is going to make it a partisan argument. So everything has become a gray area. There's no clarity on what is or what is not. For instance, a few minutes ago, we're talking about the Council of Chiefs, how they should function. And now it seems like they're just ceremonial heads. That's the only few things that I can say about this Chief Justice issue. Because, look, it has become history. There was a gentleman that was on NSG News previously with yourself who argued the fact that we should give Muhammad the benefit of the doubt that he has actually been followed the process. His predecessor, Nana Akufo-Addo, didn't. He just kick whoever is brought to him, just kick that. He didn't go through the process. So the argument of what is done is right or not, it's not the issue. Have they followed the process? The provision is in the Constitution that this can be done. So now, have they followed the process? If we are now going to argue the fact that the findings were unfounded, there's a different argument. That's where I will leave it. If she wants to fight it, it just leaves a precedence for us. It helps us to make reference in the future. This has happened before. This is what she has done. It will inspire people. You give courage to people to challenge authority. So I think whatever dent it may leave on her image as a person of the Supreme Court, I think it creates the situation for individuals to find it in themselves to fight and challenge government and authority, because in Ghana, it seems like those in authority, they are God personified. We are not allowed to challenge them. So I think for encouragement and for each and everyone to be able to stand and say, okay, I don't accept this. There's reason for me not accepting it. I'm challenging it. I think it's good for us. So let's see what comes out of her challenge.
All right. Thank you very much. We'll move to a very final last two subjects for discussion this evening, and we'll call it an evening. The very next subject has to do with democracy. Is democracy dying in Africa? We have seen several military takeovers and how the youth applaud the military coups and what have you. And this very week, I think on Wednesday, former president for Nigeria, Mr. Goodluck Jonathan, was here in Ghana to organize what we call the Democracy Dialogue. There have been a lot of fallout from that very program. But the key question is democracy dying in Africa? I would love to start with you, Mr. Musa Dankwa. Is democracy dying? Mr. Dankwa, you have to unmute for me.
Yes, sorry about that.
Right.
You know, democracy is under attack, not just in Africa, but across many places in Europe and America. So it's not just in Africa. I mean, if you look at what happened in the last few years in the Sahel region, where we have Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, and Guinea overthrowing their own civilian government and installing military rule. And people were quite applauding it. In fact, around that time, there was a survey that was done in Ghana, and we assessed people's view regarding democracy. We asked them whether democracy is military rule is sometimes a solution to our issues in Africa. 55% of them say yes. Sometimes it's good to have military rule in Africa. And that was frightening. Why? It's because, look, those who have led democracy in Africa have not really lived up to expectation. Some of them, they just, they just pay lip service to democracy. And they don't actually mean sincerely what democracy is supposed to be. And we've seen that in America in recent times. I mean, United States government is nowhere near anything you call good governance and democratic process, because you see what they're doing there, interfering with the judges, interfering in so many institutions that are supposed to be independent. Democracy, you can't pick and choose. So if you look at what is happening elsewhere, I think we are better off in Africa if you look at democracy in Africa now than even in United States of America. Yes, we have some few bad ones, but those that are already practicing democracy, they are doing it to their best of our ability. There'll be flaws here and there. We'll fix it as we go along. But there's no better route to have for a country than democracy, where you can say your mind and not be arrested, not be caged. You can engage in dialogue and discussion, not be caged. And when you have true democracy and the voice of people really permeates, you have good governance. It's only when those governing us tend to put sticks in their ears, that's when people revolt and really rise up against the system and try to engineer overthrow of the regime. So I think by and large, we're not doing bad, but we can do better.
Mr. Musa Dankwa, you made mention of some 55% of respondents saying they love it military way or in a cool way. When was this survey done and where?
I think 2023. I will share the report with you later on. I mean, it was scary.
I'll be very happy.
It was during the time when Mali and Niger were just going through their military regime changes. And we asked voters whether they support. In fact, it was the time that ECOWAS was planning to send military intervention in Niger. So we asked them whether they support the action of ECOWAS intervening. And then we did also ask them whether they believe that at some point in time, military rule is a solution to problems in Africa. And they said yes.
And those respondents were here in Ghana or it cut across?
Yes, Ghanaian voters. Ghanaian voters.
You know, when on the 7th of January, when John Mahama, His Excellency, was being inaugurated, the Burkina Faso gentleman, Ibrahim Touare, was around. And the kind of rousing up applause he received. Mr. Ibad Ibrahim, what do you make of it? Is democracy dying?
I agree with Senior. They say the proof of the pudding is in the eating. We've been at this system for the past 30 years and some change. And Ibrahim Traore, a young-looking person, he's young actually in age, he has become more of a superstar. And social media is projecting him. He seems to be a dyed-in-the-wool Pan-Africanist and all that. So in intelligence circles, we've actually, as consultants, we've actually deliberated on how we can insulate Ghana from his popularity, not in a negative sense. I think he's more of a reincarnation. I don't believe in reincarnation, but in terms of the ideals he stands for, it's like Thomas Sankara 2.0. And we know the relationship that existed between Jerry Rawlings and Sherman Rawlings and Thomas Sankara. So there may be a spillover of that popularity. So now, no wonder the findings of Mr. Musa Dankwa point to the fact that people are thinking, could this be our eureka moment? That we've experimented with democracy every 4 or 8 years. We ask a government to leave and then we replace it with another one. There is no developmental continuum. Somebody starts the building from foundation, gets to lintel, the next government abandons it. The vision of a previous government is not, seen through and all that. So on social media and in some of the interactions that Mr. Dankwa's team has had with respondents, there is a feeling that maybe an alternative will serve our purpose better. But this is the caveat. It's like we've left one Frankenstein and we are embracing another one. I'll explain. Many democracies in the sub-region are thoroughly pro-West. So a loss for France in Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, it's not a win for Africa or Pan-Africanism automatically. It's a win for the Far East. It's a win for China and a win for Russia. So that is where I have a little reticence or reservation about the Traore factor and his popularity and the fact that there could be a spillover. So in the minds of some young Ghanaians, our leaders have failed us, and if there can be an alternative, which alternative can only come through a coup d'etat, is an idea people are beginning to entertain. And so the onus lies upon us as a country to come out with interventions. That is why I think the role of the NCCE, the National Commission for Civic Education, is so important.
Very crucial and very important.
The NCCE has been pushed to the back burner. How does democracy serve our purpose? But if an MPP tells me this is how democracy serves my purpose, or an MPP or NDC person tells me, I will take it with a pinch of salt, because we've seen the NDC rule, we've seen the MPP rule, and in many cases we haven't been fully satisfied. And so I think we are walking a very tight rope, and I believe our intelligence agencies and all the groups we have, the constitutionally mandated groups, should be up and doing, so that there will be more public awareness to, not to say to invalidate Traore, but to tell people that we can still get the good roads through democracy. We can still get the good hospitals through democracy. And the fact that the government is toppled, it doesn't mean that the military junta that comes will serve the purpose any better. There have been examples in Africa, like in Egypt. Right. Sisi came in when Hosni Mubarak had been there for over 3 decades. Sisi just removed this military gap or military fatigue and has put on a suit, and is ruling for years on end. And in La Côte d'Ivoire, neighboring La Côte d'Ivoire, there were accusations that Alassane Ouattara was going to be any different. Alassane Ouattara has come, he's going for his 3rd term. So there are no assurances, there are no guarantees that if we topple the current system, the alternative will serve us any better. But I agree with the findings of Senior Musa Dankwa that young people, especially people who see and read about what is happening in Burkina Faso, are beginning to entertain the idea that a coup may serve the Republic of Ghana and its people better.
I'm coming to you. What is democracy if I can't get water to drink? Galamsey is spoiling all water bodies in our country. What is democracy if I can't get good roads? What is democracy if there is no bread and butter? I'm insecure. What is democracy? What type of democracy is this? If military can provide all of this, stop Galamsey one time and get the roads done, why not?
And the military provided, as Mr. Ibrahim said, it looks as though the military can. But when the individual becomes power drunk, where this person is the high and the lord of everything, it becomes a challenge. Yes, democracy is good, but the question is, have we successfully instituted democracy the way it should be in our country? Some of the challenges for me personally that is causing people to lean towards military rulership is regulatory enforcement is almost absent in our country. Partisan politics override those things. When it comes to developmental project infrastructures, when contracts are awarded and individuals do not deliver it to the standard required, nothing happens. The people can see it. They feel the heat. So it's not like the the military provision or option as rulership is the desired or the ideal for the people. But like you said, Torkornoo now he's become like the king of Africa. Internet is projecting it everywhere you pass, him. But as Mr. Dankwa said earlier on, democracy is on a decline globally. That's a fact. When I sat with Professor Kwesianim last year, he cited the same thing as being a general issue. But when we come to Ghana, as a nation, have we now taken this democracy and fashioned it to fit ourselves? For instance, we talked about the Council of Chiefs. Those are things within our democracy that makes it different to other nations. If those things will become functional and effective to help in delivering governance, whereby, let's say there's a contract awarded in Ashanti region, but the team is actively involved making sure these things that the people can feel. You pay tax, and you're wondering, why am I fighting with the road going to see my mother? So these things are pushing us towards that side. But one ground fundamental issue for me is that the mentality and mindset of us, the people, is also the issue. Especially in Ghana, where being in politics and being in government and being appointed is provision for you to amass wealth. So you hear people say, oh, the easier way to become rich is to go into politics. Why won't people be desiring for a military man who will whip someone who has not delivered their contract? So if these basically few things are checked, I don't think, as Mr. Ibrahim said, democracy is the best, where we can all say something, where we can all take something, where we can all give something. If that becomes instrumental, no one will seek for military rule. But generally, around the world, social disposition is driving things now much more than the democracy of things.
All right. I know it's Friday. I have to leave you. It's already past 7. So the very last subject, a minute or two for each of you. It has to do with the NDC flag bearership politics. I never dreamt of it that we will be discussing some flag bearership of the ruling NDC within the first 12 months of the administration. Mr. Musa Dankwa, your projections are already on the hot seat. Mr. Musa Dankwa, you have to unmute for me, please.
It is bound to happen. But I think the NDC problem were accelerated by NPP's change of timelines. The moment NDP decided to bring their timetable forward, automatically affected the MPP race. But nobody will talk about MPP and be quiet about NDC. I mean, it won't happen naturally. That discussion will be hard. But then the problem I see with this current trend is that, look, from what I say, those who would contribute to the success of this government are the ones who will be given an honor to lead the party. Those who will be seen to have contributed to the success of this NDC Mahama government are the ones that will lead the country. So if you are in a position and you are not helping the system to develop, you're not helping the country to develop, you're not putting your quota, you're not putting your contribution on the table for people to see, you are highly unlikely to win. Because we are dealing with Gen Zs. Gen Zs are looking for tangible results. They're not looking for history or all those kind of things. They look for results. And if you can have anything on the table, trust me, you don't get the power. So what we have seen is early jostling by Chief of Staff through his work with Julius, and I think that may have forced Asedin Gitia to respond in a way that was much more...
to do a thank you tour. Yeah.
Absolutely. Because look, if you go to social media, the response is not very good for Asedin Gitia. People are saying that the president has done his thank you tour. And if you are doing a thank you tour, in what capacity are you doing it? If you are doing as a chairman after being elected, then you should have done so when you were elected as chairman of the party.
Today he explained it. He explained it actually yesterday, and he said he promised them, you don't want people to come to you in the villages whenever they need your votes. After winning, we have to come back and show gratitude. Even Jesus asked for those he healed. How many people were able to go back?
Look, when the president went round, what did he do? Or was he doing?
He was doing a thank you, but it was essentially in the regional capitals. He didn't have a lot of time. He has a reset agenda to endeavor.
Look, I mean, General can defend his moves, but everybody clearly understands what is going on.
Right.
And for the simple reason that he is, or he has not ruled himself out of contesting for the flag bearership. So people are seeing through what he's doing. He may have a good reason, but at this point in time, people are looking at it in a different way.
All right. So I'm going to pick your thoughts. Mr. Musa, please don't leave yet. Aim and Ibad, I'm going to pick your thoughts just after this breather. Please don't go